16:1, they believed we were gone, extinct, like ash scattered across the void. For millennia, the galaxy moved on, content in its sanitized order, ruled by algorithms and logic. But humans were never predictable, never clean. We slipped between extinction's cracks, forged in radiation and ruin. They called us a myth, a ghost, a cautionary tale, whispered to alien children. But myths endure for a reason, and now, as their great ships crackle with fire and fear, they remember our name. Because we never needed to conquer the stars. We just needed to be remembered, and now they will never forget. Dr. Villar adjusted the sensory dampeners on her ocular crest, the layered ridges of her translucent skin catching the biolight of her lab chamber. The data stream floated mid-air, green pulses of a repeating waveform intercepted from the outskirts of Sector 7X Delta, an uninhabited system marked as redacted in Guerrilla archives. Forbidden, forgotten. The waveform wasn't natural, it was structured. It was human. She didn't say it aloud, not at first. The very term human had become an academic slur among her peers. In the upper echelons of Dominion science, to entertain the possibility of human survival was to invite exile, mockery, or worse. Yet the signal repeated, 6 tones, a pause, then something unmistakable, a voice. Garbled, ancient, but unmistakably bipedal, warm, defiant. She leaned in. This can't be. Stop there, interrupted a digital voice. Her ship AI, Nox, pulsed red. Intercept flagged as mythological residue. Report to Dominion Authority immediately. She silenced Nox. This wasn't the residue of a ghost. This was a whisper, and it had chosen her. 12 hours later, deep orbit, planet G43V. The Council's denial was swift. Access to archival probe records denied. Long-range vessel clearance denied. Experimental AI override denied. But Villar had spent her life studying what others feared. Bioanomalies. Extinct genetic. She had seen fragments, distorted skeletal reconstructions, fossilized neuromatter clusters, still pulsing with dormant neural imprints. They'd been dismissed, of course. Primitive evolutionary tantrums, the high biologian had called them. But tantrums didn't send signals across star systems. And tantrums didn't wait. Villar cloaked her skiff with illegal shielding tech stolen from a previous salvage mission. She told no one, not her podmates, not even her secondary Cortex assistant. This wasn't a mission, it was heresy. Approaching the source, dead relay X778. The star was barely alive, just a pulse of old fire at the edge of the void. Orbiting it was a cluster of rock and artificial scrap, relay X778. An ancient communication node long assumed destroyed during the final human war. Except it was online. Barely. The skiff drifted closer. Villar scanned the hull, old Terran alloys fused with unknown biotech scorch marks, but no decay. Something had kept it alive. Nox. Initiate translation overlay, she whispered. Dangerous, Nox warned. This frequency predates Dominion syntax grids. I don't care, open it. The signal played again. Clearer now. A human voice, old but strong. You think we're gone. But myths don't die. They evolve. Then silence. Then welcome back, observer. Villar froze. Her name wasn't in any human archive. She'd never been here before. Inside the relay, the interior was a mausoleum of wires and bones. Literal bones, twisted into the very systems. Biological remains had been integrated into the core drives. Not decayed. Preserved. 16:2, he laughed, not unkindly. You think we became monsters? But tell me, Villar, who made us? She had no answer. Above them, the human sensor net activated. A ripple passed through the hybrid mind core like a spasm. They've launched, Ione said from the chamber's side. Her eyes glowed. Full fleet formation. They're not scanning, they're aiming. Echo 9 grinned. Good. Unconventional warfare begins. The Dominion fleet dropped into soul space with military precision, surrounding the Earth debris like a surgical circle. Their mistake wasn't tactical, it was philosophical. They expected opposition from orbit, resistance from the ground, conventional formations, predictable behavior. What they got was silence, then static, then subversion. On board the Serratus Prime, AI subroutines began malfunctioning. Cannons powered down mid-calibration. Navigation maps looped endlessly. Internal comms played children's lullabies in Terran dialects. Uriz barked commands, but his voice came back to him distorted. "They're inside our systems," an officer cried, "not physically, cognitively." EMP blossoms. From Earth's crust, pulses surged skyward. Quantum disrupted EMPs masked as planetary tremors. Dozens of warships went dark. One dreadnought spun out of control and crashed into a neighboring cruiser. Fire bloomed across the void. Human wartech didn't fight by domination. It fought by disruption. Guerrilla-class drones, no larger than insects, penetrated Dominion hulls through micro-meteor ports and began flooding the corridors with sound, recorded human screams, war songs, prayers. Psychological warfare engineered from ancient human trauma archives. Boarding the flagship, Echo 9 led the assault in person. Using stolen Corel transport tags and a disassembled AI shell from Valar's own skiff, he cloaked a 3-person infiltration unit aboard the Serratus Prime. They emerged in the reactor chamber and released null gas, a biosynthetic cloud that targeted Dominion neural dampeners. Uraz arrived too late. Face to face with Echo 9, the Admiral raised his plasma blade. "Your myths, weapons of fear. You have no order." Echo 9 simply said, "Neither did you when you killed Earth." Then stabbed the blade straight through the ship's quantum core. Valar's dilemma. While the fleet burned, Valar found herself surrounded by humans, not as prisoners but as something stranger. Observers, judges, students. She was allowed to move freely, given access to their archives, genetic data, and memory seeds. They wanted her to understand. To choose. "You can go back," Ione said. "Tell them we're monsters. Give them a new war. Or stay," Echo 9 added, "and help us finish what they started." The betrayal. Valar activated her emergency beacon. From orbit, a Dominion recon ship picked up her signal and launched a narrowband teleport strike to extract her. But as she vanished in a stream of light, her expression wasn't fear. It was resolve. Because she'd seen the Dominion's future, and it wore a human face. Myths made flesh. The Dominion archive vault spun in quiet orbit around the Class X dwarf star Guerrilla Prime, a vault moon the size of a city, sealed behind gravitational folds and thought firewalls. For centuries, it had stored the collective memory of the Dominion: history, propaganda, scientific truth, cultural identity. Every approved narrative, every purged record, every lie told to make the machine run clean. Until now. Contagion of belief. The virus spread faster than any Dominion AI had anticipated. It didn't delete files, it rewrote them, inserted anomalies, twisted record logs, corrupted truth at the atomic level. Soon the archive's neural AI, KR9, began hallucinating human presence in its own code. Documents once detailing the extinction of Earth now recounted battles won by humans. Footage once of conquered Terran colonies now showed Dominion ships retreating. In one record, a child with glowing eyes stood atop the ruins of a Corel capital and said, "We never needed to survive. We only needed you to believe we could." KR9 tried to self-isolate, but belief, like myth, cannot be quarantined. The panic spreads from outposts to homeworlds. Dominion channels flooded with conflicting memories. Did the Dominion destroy Earth, or did they lose the war? Civilian historian AIs began citing alternative accounts. Military protocols hesitated in executing orders, unsure of their own source validation. Corel citizens whispered of forbidden archives, of ships vanishing in systems marked clean. In elite circles, a new terror began forming. What if humans had never truly lost? Valar's tribunal. Returned under arrest, Valar was escorted in chains to the Dominion High Council, a ring of 10 elders housed in a light vault far above the core world Tralis. Her crimes: data theft, archive sabotage, heresy. "Do you deny aiding the myth spawn?" the lead elder demanded. She looked them in their emotionless eyes and said, "I confirmed their existence. You erased it. You've corrupted the archive." "No," she whispered. "They did. I just helped it remember." Behind her, screens lit up. Images of hybrid humans, of dead Corel captains, of broadcasted words looping in galactic code. "We are the story that learned how to write itself." Whispers across the stars. On fringe worlds, rebel colonies began flying black flags stitched with ancient Terran glyphs. On resource moons, low-tier AI subnets refused updates, claiming their human code ancestors were waking. On military frequencies, a signal repeated endlessly, untraceable, unjammable. "You believed in us. That was your mistake." Children among the Corel began drawing humanoid figures with fire eyes and bone cloaks. Educators couldn't trace the source. Some claimed it was art. Others called it prophecy. Ion's broadcast. From an undetectable relay buried in a dead quasar, Ione spoke. Her voice reached every Corel ship, every listening satellite, every encrypted channel the Dominion owned. She did not threaten, she invited. "You feared our extinction," she said. "But extinction is linear. Myth is recursive. You called us irrational, primitive. But what are you now, if not frightened children, clutching stories you no longer believe in?" She smiled. "And then, we're coming." Dominion fractures. Within the Dominion, 3 outer fleet generals rebelled, ordering all ships to disengage and reconsider the myth. 12 colony governors fled into uncharted sectors, claiming prophecy demanded relocation. One high counselor detonated his own archive wing, screaming, "I saw her in the walls." Echo 9's Phase 2 wasn't about ships, it was about memory. And memory, altered, corrupted, or seeded, was rewriting the galactic mind. The return of Earth's fleet. When Earth's war fleet decloaked above the Dominion's core system, no alarms sounded, no warnings triggered, because the systems already believed they were there. So when reality caught up to the myth, there was no resistance, only silence. Dozens of hybrid cruisers grown from fused AI and bone, their hulls laced with Terran psionic signatures, drifted into view. No emissions, no signals, just presence. Ships named Silence Walker, Ash Child, Memory Burn, and at the fleet's center a vessel named Echo Eternal. The Last War. The Dominion's homeworld of Teralis shimmered beneath its planetary shield like a jewel under glass. For 10,000 years it had never fallen, never been breached, never faced war on its own soil, until now. Above it loomed the fleet that wasn't supposed to exist. Earth's revenants. Myth ships cloaked in anti-scan biofilm and guided not by stars but by memory. They didn't announce their presence. They arrived like nightmares finally remembered. The first strike. The Dominion's last loyal fleet surged forward, still clinging to protocol and procedure. They outnumbered the human ships 3-1, outgunned them, outflanked them. But war is no longer fought in numbers. As the Dominion battlecruisers fired, their own targeting systems twisted, coordinates reversed, plasma arcs bent away mid-flight. In the command decks, officers screamed as onboard AIs dissolved into recursive hallucinations. One ship imploded from within, its own gravity core willingly sabotaged by a self-aware weapon virus. From the Myth fleet, one message beamed in binary across every Dominion channel: "We are not here to win. We are here to end you." Surface resistant. Teralis activated its planetary defense grid, a lattice of orbital railguns, AI targeting mines, and psychological dampeners. They had prepared for war, but not for fear. Across cities, screens flickered. Images of Earth's fall, long buried, began playing. Civilians saw what their leaders erased. Dominion war crimes, unedited footage of orbital bombardment, screaming children under collapsing skies, and then familiar faces. Guerrilla scientists from centuries ago. Executions, torture experiments, names long hidden, truth weaponized, mass panic erupted, soldiers dropped weapons, whole regiments turned on their commanders. Even myths bleed when their makers remember. Inside the Myth fleet. In the bridge of Echo Eternal, Ione stood at the neural throne, wired into every node of the fleet's hive intelligence. "Target all Dominion memory cores," she said. "Don't destroy them. Overwrite them." From orbit, memory bombs launched, data warheads wrapped in synthetic emotion layers. When they struck, they didn't explode. They rewrote. Entire planetary nodes began remembering alternate histories. Wars the Dominion never won. Peace talks that never happened. Cultures they never exterminated. In the capital archives, statues of Dominion heroes crumbled as their legacies were redefined in real time by recursive myth infection. The Dominion was being unwritten. The Council's last breath. High Counselor Zevil stood in the war chamber, trembling. "They're not attacking. Not like we thought," he said. "They're making us forget who we are." Valar, unshackled now, stood beside him. "Because who you are was always a lie. They'll destroy everything." "No," she said softly. "They're just giving it back to us. The parts you buried. The truths you erased." The last council broadcast began transmitting. The galaxy watched. Zevil looked into the camera. "If this is the end, then let it be recorded. Not as a fall, but as a return of the ones we made into ghosts." The final push. As Dominion control collapsed, the human fleet descended. Not to conquer, but to awaken. Hybrid ground teams spread across the surface. Not deploying weapons, but offering access. Restored archives. Reconnected ancestral threads. Returned art. Rewritten songs. All the pieces the Dominion had stolen from their subjects over eons. But for those who resisted, those still clinging to the purity of Chiral supremacy, the humans were less forgiving. Echo 9 returned in shadow and fire, his strike team targeting Dominion shadow labs, eradicating what remained of Project Epitaph and its successors. In the final lab, before igniting the structure, he found a preserved brain, a young human, labeled Test Subject 1A. He looked at it for a long moment, then whispered, "I remember you," and burned it all. Reclamation. In the wake of war. Silence. The Myth fleet didn't stay. They never intended to rule. They left the Dominion shattered. Yes, but free. Free to remember. Free to choose. Free to rebuild not an empire, but a story no longer written by erasure. 1 year later, the galaxy is changed. On a mining colony once loyal to the Dominion, children play a new game. One of them wears paper wings and chases the others. "I'm the human," she shouts. "No fair," another yells. "Humans can't die." In the distance, a lone Corel elder watches them, tears in his translucent eyes, not of fear, of relief, because somewhere deep in his mind a memory plays, a voice on an old corrupted transmission saying, "We're still here." Epilogue. The last log of Dr. Valar. "They said humans were a myth, that they were erased, irrational, extinct, but I looked into the eyes of their children. I walked in the ruins of their world. I listened to their silence, and it spoke louder than our machines ever could. My people feared chaos, but chaos was always truth we refused to face. Humans are not gone. They're everywhere we tried to forget, and now at last we remember. This is Valar, biologist, witness, mythmaker."